Seriously, what an honor, honestly.
Well, mate, I've got to say, congratulations on the brand new EP. I've been listening to it over the last couple of days, and I've got to say, I absolutely love it.
Thank you so much. That basically means the world, honestly. You know, it's us putting ourselves out there vulnerably, and the reaction's been good so far, and I really appreciate you saying that.
Not a problem. And one of the things that really hit me with this album was the tracks are so personal. Like, you can tell the lyrics have been written from the heart. Tell us a little bit about those lyrics and what was inspiring you when you actually sat down to work on the tracks for this EP.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think lyrically, when people explain their lyrics, you know, you generally get some sort of like surface level response. I think the beauty in that is that it keeps the music relatable and vague enough to where you can relate to it. But basically, I just wrote a lot about different occurrences in my life that I wasn't really able to talk about to anybody. So the best way for me to be able to get that out is by writing about it. And just different occurrences in my life. I kind of use our songs as like as the songs themselves being like the therapist, and honestly, my lyrics are my way of getting it off my chest because I have too much pride to, which is a terrible thing, to take alternate measures of getting things off my chest. So my unhealthy way of doing that is by putting it into the songs, and luckily it comes out as personal tracks that people can relate to.
Yeah. You mentioned that it's a good way to let those emotions out. Does it almost feel like you're writing a diary when you write those tracks and pour your heart out into them like that?
Yeah, 100%. I think I would say it's like a what is a good way of saying it? I guess it's kind of like it is like a diary in the fact that I'm getting those emotions out and stuff, but I try to put it in a little bit of a prettier package, you know. I like to have those hooks. I basically like to cover up my my diary entries with hooks that are just easy to bop your head along to, so that you don't have to get too sucked into how deep, I guess, and maybe slightly dark the lyrics can be at times. But yeah, so it's definitely like a journal, but I just try to like make it look a little prettier.
Yeah. It also feels on this album as well like you guys have really found a sound that you're comfortable with. Tell us a little bit about how that Dead Lake sound has kind of evolved over the past couple of years.
Oh, that is a big thing. I guess when we've been asked questions similar to this before, I'd say that my favorite point to make is really that I feel like when we got contacted by our first manager that we had, it was literally while we were in the studio doing Nothing is Sacred. And so therefore, we had already written Nothing is Sacred, and we were just going to see how it does. And, you know, obviously the band was important to us, but I don't think we really fully understood that we would have a shot. So when our first manager contacted us, and the time we spent after Nothing is Sacred till this EP, we just really tried to grow as much as possible and not waste this opportunity. So I felt like we had a lot of room for growth, and so sonically we just really wanted to give ourselves a real shot at doing something that made us happy. So we grew in a direction that we wanted to because sonically we felt we could do it, and we learned a lot along the way. And Max, who I live with, he's our main guitarist and songwriter, as well as myself. We lived together, so we just really stayed on top of one another and stayed on top of each band member to really just push ourselves to learn new things. And we learned a lot of production things and a lot of just like analyzing songs. And I feel like our songwriting got to a really comfortable place. But we just really allowed ourselves to grow and not be stuck in a bubble. We really felt like we wanted to take a unique step in a unique direction, and we want to keep doing that. I think you'll see like certain elements of the band change definitely every time we put out a new record. And I think there will be another big leap sonically when we put out our first record. We definitely don't want people to get comfortable with our sound because we definitely plan on changing it and taking it to new places every time.
Yeah. You mentioned then that early on you guys didn't really think about the fact that you guys had a shot. When did that actually sink in for you guys that this is going to be a career for you, that you guys are signed to a major label and now you're starting to win over a lot of fans.
That is so cool of you to say, because I think like when you're in it, you don't really necessarily sometimes see it for what it really is, because it's too close to you, and in a lot of regards it still hasn't sunken in that, you know, we're going to be on tour with bands that we looked up to when we were kids, and we're going to play festivals one day that, you know, that we dreamed of playing. And I mean, it's kind of like when you go on a vacation, you know, it doesn't really hit you until you're there. I think one of those moments for myself was when we found out we were going to be able to go record our next record with Eric Ron and Anthony Reeder. That moment was a moment where it was like, wow, okay, this means something. Like we've accomplished something with this band, and we're actually going to have maybe a chance at something. So like, let's really give it that shot, you know. And I think like until, you know, we're really paying bills off of it and playing festivals, I'm still going to not really quite feel it. I'm so excited for our first show back from all this too. I think that's really going to be a big moment in that direction as well, seeing how the people react to the songs and people singing along at live shows. Like honestly, those are the moments where I feel like, you know, your impact has really been made and you really are doing something with it. Is when you see people just yelling the words back to you, and just it's like you can tell it means something to them on an emotional level that it does to you. I think that's like what real success is. And I feel like, yeah, we're getting there. It's a cool feeling, but yeah, excited to play shows again so we can really feel that.
Yeah, definitely. We're missing shows so much here at the moment. And you just mentioned getting to work with Eric Ron. Tell us a little bit about how that came about and what he was like to work with.
Yeah, so our manager at the time was kind of gauging what we wanted, like kind of what we wanted to do. And, you know, sometimes you just kind of throw out some names that you think are kind of be like wild cards that you won't really, they aren't feasible or they aren't really going to be able to happen. But yeah, we found out we were working with Eric Ron. It was a huge surprise that it was actually going to happen. Like I remember like reading like the email, I think, or something that we got from our manager at the time, and I just remember like being kind of frozen and just really being able to like show the other guys like the screenshot or the email screenshot of that, like, because I couldn't really put it into words. But yeah, that was a really cool moment for us to figure out that we're going to be working with Eric Ron, and then we ended up getting to also work with Anthony Reeder, who's his like co-producer. He usually engineers like a lot of the stuff that Eric produces. On our record, he kind of did both, but we didn't realize how big of an honor it would be to meet him, but it ended up being a pretty big honor to work with him as well. He's worked on some crazy records, including some of our favorite records, like one of the Paris records as well. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
Awesome. You mentioned there as well, of course, the EP is actually coming out while your fans are in lockdown. We've been in lockdown now here in Australia for 7 weeks. How has that affected the EP coming out, or do you feel that it actually has enhanced it in a way because there are a lot more people at home that have got more time on their hands?
Right. Yeah. Right. I think like I guess any situation has its pros and cons. Obviously, the cons in this situation being that we're not able to be on the road, and really, I think that I feel like this has really put value to face-to-face interactions on like every level, whether it's just like enjoying a friendship or it just, I don't know. I'm gonna have a newfound appreciation for when things get back to some sort of normalcy, because yeah, I feel like the cons of just not being able to get that face-to-face interaction with people and really see how it affects them or whatever the case may be. But the pros of releasing during this time are that I really feel people are taking in things in, I would say, you know, like when you, I like to do a lot of these, you know, like when, but basically I equate it to like today's attention span. I feel like people's attention spans have gotten a little longer during this coronavirus thing because there's less things that are distracting them every 5 seconds. And I think people are really taking art in full, letting it affect them the way it needs to, actually having a chance to process it, actually having a chance to sit with it for a second and think on it, you know. And in that regard, I think that's going to have a really long-term blessing for this band, is that people will have had a chance to really sit with this and not just pass it by, especially being a new band. Like, it's easy to listen to a single and be like, that was good, and, maybe you save the track, but you forget about the band's name or whatever, and every time it pops up, you forget about it because life's distracting. But, during coronavirus, it's definitely been a benefit for us in that regard.
Yeah. And how have you found the lockdown from a creative point of view? Have you found this to be a great time to sit down and write new music, or have you found that it's been the opposite and you haven't been able to write?
Yeah, I think, honestly, creatives all over the world are actually kind of thriving right now as far as, like, a personal journey goes. Like, being creative, I think you're more open to learning and to change and to new perspectives. And so, therefore, I think this has actually been really good for us creatively. We've written quite a bit. I'm going to be honest. I've definitely had a few nights of just, like, some real good soul-searching journeys that has definitely affected my creative process and how I want to write, and whether that's lyrically or musically. So yeah, it's been really great. Our master bedroom is our recording studio. We've got a little home studio here. So honestly, being on lockdown has been great for us creatively. We've been downloading too many plugins and playing with too many synths and whatnot. But it's been a beautiful experience for that reason. You got to take the light out of any situation. Unfortunately, the only thing you control is how you react to situations, and sometimes you can't even control that. But luckily, we've reacted to this one pretty well. I hope it's been the same for you guys over there.
Definitely, yeah. Look, I'm a little bit of an introvert, so the fact that I've been able to record my radio show from home and not actually go into a studio has actually kind of been, it's been a positive, and I haven't had an hour and a half travel time each way each day as well, so I think that's helped.
No, that's totally fair.
Yeah.
That kind of speaks to I hope that the world can kind of gain perspective in that way too, that there are so many different types of people out there, and some are introverts, some are extroverts, some, I don't know, everybody's such a unique individual that I feel like society's way of making, like, you have to go to the studio to do your show, or whatever the case may be. Like, I hope that there's new perspectives on those sorts of things, to be able to say, there's not one way of having to do something, and if there's a process that makes you feel more comfortable or that you work better, and I hope that's, like, some new perspectives that people can gain out of this and are able to, I think that there's a lot of commonality that's happening out of this, but I hope that you can do that more often.
Definitely, yeah, and I'm hoping it's something, like, I know for us, a lot of our station managers have actually looked at it and realized that it's actually cheaper to have hosts doing shows from home as well, so that might be something that in the long run they actually look at doing.
That's really funny. I'm really glad that he had that moment. I also feel like it's pretty funny. I think it takes certain circumstances for people to gain those new perspectives. You could have. I mean, I'm sure that you knew in some regard that there was cheaper aspects to doing it from home. Obviously, travel costs, travel time, reimbursing people for this or that. But I think it takes people experiencing that or whatever to really gain that new perspective and help for change. So I think that's awesome, because that's obviously what we were just talking about in action. So that's beautiful.
Yeah, and I know for artists that this has been a really tough time because it's hit a lot of musicians financially. Is there any way that your fans can support you guys at the moment, aside from buying the EP?
So I will say that there's a lot of bands whose sole income is the band, because they've gotten to a great place where that there's some beauty in that. Obviously, you work for yourself in some regard in that way. But we're a young band. All of us have day jobs still because we haven't quite made it, per se. And so I think the only way I ask for people to support us is just by literally listening to the EP and telling a friend about it. But definitely go pick up merch and support crew members. Support people who are actually, like, really out of work. I still work at a grocery store right now, so I've got a paycheck coming in. But yeah, if you want to do anything for us, check out the record, tell a friend. But definitely go support bands who really do, like, live off of this, because if we were ever to be in a position where we could luckily get rid of our day jobs, it would be nice if we were in a position that they're in, that people would take care of us. So, yeah, definitely support those artists.
Awesome. Well, mate, thank you so much for chatting to us today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully when this is all over that we might actually get to see you guys in Australia sometime.
Man, we hope. That is like literally a dream. Like even just being on the phone with you is a dream, man, because I never thought we'd be talking to people in Australia about our band, and that is definitely a goal place for us to come to. 6 of our top 20 cities are on Spotify are out of Australia, so we feel the love and we want to come down under for sure.
Awesome. Well, mate, again, thank you so much for chatting to us today. It's been an absolute pleasure. Stay safe, and hopefully we get to chat again in the future.
No, for real, yeah. Let's do this in person if we ever get to Australia, and vice versa. I hope you stay safe, and seriously, thank you guys so much for checking us out, and thank you for having us.